Hi guys and welcome. I'm Enigmius and this is the Builder's Guide to Feed the Beast episode 11. Today we're talking about interdimensional freight transport. That's right, with all the different places that we can go and feed the beast that involve a portal or a book or something that takes us to a different place, being able to get materials to and from those other dimensions without having to carry them all ourselves is kind of a handy thing to be able to do. So we're going to talk about getting the infrastructure set up to do that, because that's what these early episodes are about, is just infrastructure and getting ready to get ready, as it were. Now, one of the things that we're going to be talking about, because it's probably one of the most straightforward options, is the Ender Chest, Ender Pouch system. And I need to bring something to your attention. If you're playing on the Feed the Beast Beta Pack A, you will want to follow the link in the information section below the video to the developers thread in the Minecraft forums. He's got a link to older versions there because he's currently working on, versions for 1.4.5. You want to follow the link for the older version downloads. Download version 1.2.1.5. The Feed the Beast pack comes with 1.2.1. You want 1.2.1.5. It solves some bugs that lead to crashes that you really don't want to have to be experiencing. Now, if that's too much of a headache for you, that's fine. This information will still apply to you. And that, those bugs won't be there when we get the released version of the Feed the Beast mod pack. But if you're chomping at the bit and you don't mind downloading and installing a different mod, that's what you want to be doing. So this here is an Ender chest. And if we open it, you can see it's only got 9 slots. And there's a reason for that. It's because it's got other utilities that have nothing to do with vast storage space. And you can also see I've got it hooked up to this system here. These are redstone engines, the ones that don't need fuel and don't overheat. The wooden transport pipe pulling, if there was something in that chest, it would be pulling it out and into this gold chest. And in fact, this is all the stuff from my last excursion to the Twilight Forest. So you can see it works quite well, and that was a lot of inventory space that it saved me. In fact, I wouldn't have been able to gather so much loot if I had to carry it all at all times. So that was kind of cool. The other thing that you want to take a look at is that it's easier to see if I come this side. It's got these 3 white blocks on the top. If you have dye in your hand, you can right click on one of, any of those blocks and it'll change color. And that's sort of like changing the frequency of the chest. So right now the frequency is white, white, white. If I had red dye and clicked it on this one, it would be red, white, white. And that would basically put it on the same frequency as anything else that had that same color pattern. So if I had another Ender chest that was red, white, white, those 2 chests would be linked. Now, if you look at the pouch here, this is the Ender pouch. And if you look at it in my hand down in the very bottom right corner, you can see the triangle and the diamond and the hexagon. They're all white. So this is coded to white, 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 meaning this is on the same frequency as the chest. Now watch what happens to the chest when I right click on the pouch to open its inventory. See how they're linked? So anything that I put in this pouch will also appear in the chest. It doesn't duplicate the item. All it's saying is, if I have this pouch open and I was playing on a server and someone else had the chest open, if I put these arrows in the pouch, they would be able to take the arrows out of the chest. So that's sort of where we get the whole interdimensional freight transport thing started. And that's why I've got it hooked up to the pipes and the gold chest, is that if I'm, say, for example, in the Twilight Forest, I put something in the pouch, it pulls it out of the chest and into the gold chest so that I get that inventory space back. It's a way to expand my inventory space when I'm out in the field. Now, the way that you probably are going to have to set this up is you need a world anchor in whatever facility has the chest. And a world anchor is not necessarily expensive, but it's not cheap either. 2 diamonds, 2 obsidian, an ender pearl, 4 gold ingots. And then you just place it wherever you want it. In my case, it's at the top of this ladder, all the way up top. It doesn't matter where you put it vertically, but wherever you place it, it will keep a 3x3 group of chunks loaded at all times. So that's how, when I'm in the Nether, this thing can, for example, pull stuff out of my Ender pouch and put it into this chest. Normally, if I were to go into the Nether, all of these chunks would unload. So it wouldn't know that there was pipes and engines sucking it into a gold chest. It wouldn't work. So with that world anchor, these chunks stay loaded so that it can work both, when I'm in another dimension and things are happening in the overworld. So that's sort of key, but I feel the need to warn some of you. You don't want to be getting in the habit of plunking world anchors down wherever you kind of sort of maybe thought that it would be a good idea. It can really lag out your game, and if you're playing on a server, it can really lag out the server. So you want to be judicious in the use of world anchors and other similar items, because nothing sucks more than having an unplayable game because there's useless world anchors everywhere. Because, hey, if I leave this here, maybe the sheep will spawn faster or something stupid like that. So be very careful about how, when, and why you're using world anchors. And now we're going to the Nether, because in order to make the things that we need to make to get the rest of the infrastructure in place, that's where we have to go. So into the Nether we go. And here we are. Now I've actually, since the last time we were here, I built a hallway to my netherrack quarry, if you want to call it that. I don't actually have the machine quarry running. It's just this is where I go to mine up netherrack when I needed more for my crucible. Now, I just want to show you something. This is a fun little trick. If you're needing netherrack to feed your magma crucibles, and you have access to a mining laser, you can see I've dug a little trough here so that I can get down, and I've got this netherrack at foot level. And then we want to make sure that the mining laser is on horizontal mode, which it was. And you just select whatever row you want to take out, and then you shoot it, and off it goes, and goes, and goes, and keeps going. So, in terms of energy use and time, probably not a whole lot you can do manually to mine netherrack faster, but you can see here how it exposed that gap, and there's actually lava hiding down there. What I would recommend is when you're chasing down your netherrack to gather it, you kind of look down a little bit like this. You don't want to be staring straight ahead. You definitely don't want to be looking up. You want to kind of be looking down almost at a 45-degree angle so that you can see if the floor opens up before you actually fall into it, because there's lava, there's more openings in the floor. You can see more lava and more openings in the floor. So keep an eye on where you're walking is basically the short version of what I'm saying, because otherwise you can find yourself in a lot of trouble. So now, basically, the one thing that we don't have access to with the things that I've shown you is blaze rods and blaze powder. Now, I've talked about nether fortresses, but we haven't actually visited one in any of the videos. And we're kind of getting to the point where if you haven't found them yet, we're running out of alternatives that we can do. Like, for example, if you needed nether brick before, you could compress it, you know, from netherrack. If you needed soul sand, you don't have to go anywhere near another fortress to find it. You can see it's all over the damn place. But for blaze rods and blaze powder, you kind of need to be able to find blazes, and the only place to find those is in another fortress. So make sure. My rule of thumb when going to the Nether is don't ever take anything that you're afraid to lose, because things can go wrong. You can get, you know, accidentally knocked into a lake of lava, whatever. And I also like to have some form of flight. In this case, I'm using the jetpack. I also have my grab a chest plate if I wanted to use that. If you're using a jetpack, just keep a very close eye on your charge, and don't be afraid to bring a second jetpack just in case your first one starts to run a little bit low, because there are certain places that you just don't want to fall into in the Nether, like any of them. So just keep that in mind. I find that the jetpack is perfectly adequate for getting around and uses a hell of a lot less power than the gravisuit chest plate. So that's why I'm doing it. And in terms of monsters, pigmen, just leave them alone. When I was playing Tekkit, it came with the Nether ores mod added. And that was one of the things, is if you tried to mine any of those ores, the pigmen would become aggressive. But without that, the only time the pigmen actually become aggressive is if you attack them. So, oh, you jerk face. As you can see, the ghasts are aggressive. So yeah, pigmen, just leave them alone, because one of the things about pigmen is when a pigman becomes aggressive, every other pigman within, it's either 16 or 32 block radius, also becomes aggressive. So that one guy who kind of looked like a pain and I'll kill him, all of a sudden is like 7 pigmen beating the crap out of you. So just, unless you absolutely need to kill him, just leave him alone. Now, in the Nether fortress itself, you can tell basically anywhere that has nether brick like this is a Nether fortress. That's sort of what it is. They have these wither skeletons. These are, oh, he's missing a leg. Textures are corrupting. These are a recent addition to Minecraft. There's a chance when you kill one that they'll drop a wither skull. I've only, I've killed many of these guys. I've only got one skull so far. You need the skulls. You need 3 of them to build the wither effigy and summon the wither for crazy overpowered fun. But also, you'll find the occasional blaze just, naturally spawned wandering around the corridors. But for the most part, you're looking for blaze spawners. And the only monster spawners that I've actually found in a Nether fortress are for blazes. So if you see a spawner, that's probably what it's for. My normal tendency when it comes to monster spawners is to just destroy them. Usually they're there to spawn monsters to be a nuisance. But in this case, we need blaze rods. And there's always going to be the potential for the need for blaze rods. So having a place where you can go where you know for sure they're going to spawn is really, really convenient. So I would suggest that you not destroy the spawners. But at the same time, depending on how you're geared, these can actually be very, very dangerous because the blazes, their attack is, first of all, if they ram you, for example, they'll do some damage. They don't normally try to do that. Usually it's their fireball attack. And the way that works is when they first spawn, there's a period of, I think it's like 4 or 5 seconds where they can't attack. They're charging up their fireballs. And then when they're charged, they launch 3 fireballs in rapid succession. Their aim is actually really awful. So if they're firing them from range, you can see, probably better hear what's going on. If they're firing them from range, you can probably, avoid some of them. When they're close up, you're probably going to hit by all of them. There's the damage that you take when they hit you, plus they also light you on fire, and that's sort of where it gets dangerous, is you get that damage by attrition, and everything seems like you're doing okay until all of a sudden you look down and you realize you've got 1.5 hearts left because you've been on fire for a long time. So that's something that you really, really want to keep in mind. Keep a close eye on your health. Like, I was just talking away, and then I look down and look, oh, I've got no health left. Where's my meat? This is why I bring the Gravasuit chest plate. So I can have a bit of a snack, hang out. This will recharge my chainsaw and also keep me from getting killed while I'm waiting for my health to kind of restore itself there. So don't underestimate it, is basically the bottom line. If you find yourself in a situation where there's a lot of them, or you're just kind of taking a thumping, run away. There's no shame in that. Just go somewhere where they can't shoot at you. Eat if you have to, let your health restore, and then go back to it. We need about 5 blaze rods total to make an ender chest and an ender pouch, because if you macerate a blaze rod, you get 5 blaze powder. I think you can just craft it. Yeah, if you just put it in a crafting grid, you only get 2. But if you macerate it, you get 5. And that was actually one of the exploits in Tekkit with Equivalent Exchange, was macerating blaze rods and feeding them into energy condensers because of the way it converted. But yeah, get 1, macerate it. That'll give you the 4 blaze powder you need for an ender pouch. And then 4 blaze rods for the ender chest, and you're squared away. You're good to go. As far as the rest of the Nether fortress goes, the only other thing that I've ever found in a Nether fortress that was of interest was Nether wart. And I don't do any alchemy in the game right now. I don't make any kind of potions, so it's kind of useless for me. But if you're looking for Nether wart, Nether fortress is where to find it. And that's it. I mean, that's sort of the Nether in a nutshell, is blazes, wither skeletons, Nether warts, and then the guys that wander aimlessly around the Netherrack looking for players to harass. And that's really all that we need to do here. How many did I get? 8. So if I had been lesser geared, I don't think it would have happened this fast. Definitely if you're using an iron sword, it's going to take you longer than 2 or 3 hits to kill them. I see there's a wither skeleton over there, so that's why I'm going after him. I could care less about the blazes, but I want a skeleton. Jerk. Oh, it's a second time today with the wither effect that makes it look like you're about to die because your health bar is empty. Alright, so we're getting out of here. We're going to see if we can find a magma cube. Why not? Since we came all this way, and really there's not enough time left in the episode to do anything else interesting, we're just going to do a quick cruise around on the way back to the portal and see if we can't find a magma cube. And then the cycle will be complete. So we've got the chest plate on. We'll burn a few million EU. Why the hell not? And let's go for that little shot in the ass that I took from the ghast. We'll go get some payback. So is that dirt or a magma cube? Oh, that's soul sand. Okay. Alrighty. Yeah, magma cubes are kind of a dark brown. Oh, I hear him. Where are you at? There he is. These guys scream a different way when you smack them in the face than if you hit them with their own fireballs. So that's why I kind of like to run up to them and clobber them. Plus, it's also a little easier. And he's trying to avoid me. It's like dog fighting. There you go. For all the torment when I was new to the game and didn't know how to handle ghasts, it's always nice to get that sort of satisfying scream out of them. But we're going to keep our eyes on the prize and see if we can't find ourselves a magma slime, magma cube. This is sort of, I mean, it's good that we were given the alternate recipe to make magma cream with the slime and the blaze powder, because they're they're not necessarily easy to find. They don't have like a designated area where they can spawn. If you're in an area for long enough, I would suspect eventually you'll get to know where to look. But when you're just kind of cruising around looking for them to appear on the fly, it's a good thing that we don't need them. We don't absolutely need them. Because I'm not going to make you guys wait. So now, actually, we've got one more little demonstration. And we'll take, what do we get? We got 8 blaze rods. So we'll take and put them here and see what happens. We're in the Nether, the chest is in the overworld, and you can see they're being pulled out of our pouch. And when we go to the overworld, we should find 8 of them in the gold chest. I gotta kind of... There we go, a little shortcut through my hallway. Is that pigman still up here? There he is. Alright, so let's go take a look at the chest. There, and I had some in there from before as well, so that's why it is more than 8. But basically, that's sort of proof of concept. In terms of being able to empty your inventory on the fly, it's really handy. So obviously, if I was out in the overworld somewhere, exploring or mining or doing something like that, just putting stuff into the ender pouch means that I don't have to come all the way back to base to unload my inventory if it's starting to get full. The thing to keep in mind, especially with the redstone engines pulling stuff out, is that it's really, really slow. If I had access to the filters and transposers from Red Power, I could set it up to be much, much faster, extracting things by stacks instead of by 2 at a time. But we'll get to that when we have an opportunity to get to that. In the next episode, we're actually going to start looking at setting up a railroad system. I've got most of the stuff that I need to do, but I'm actually thinking about reworking this and kind of lining it up a little bit more intuitively. And I'll try and get that done before the next episode so that I can show you just a last view and how it goes together, what we need to make, how everything comes together so that you'll be able to make your own tracks and your own special tracks and all that other stuff. And then probably the third episode is when we'll start looking at linking tracks through portals, MystCraft portals, so that we can, you know, if you want to set up a pump in the Nether, pumping lava into a tank and then picking it up with a tank cart, like this guy, and then bringing it back to the overworld and unloading it kind of thing. You'll be able to do that. If you want to set up a mining operation, a MystCraft age that's just for mining, you'll be able to send back the ores through a portal. That's what we're working towards with this series. But again, it's just infrastructure and making sure that you have access to the materials to make the stuff that makes the stuff that eventually you'll be using to do this stuff. So I hope you found this helpful. It's mostly a guide to the Nether than anything else, but it was necessary. The next episode we'll be ready to start taking the materials that we've gathered and turning them into useful things. So if you want to be notified when I add that episode, easiest way to do that is to subscribe to my channel. So thanks for watching, guys, and take care.